Evergrace is an action role-playing game that was released for the PlayStation 2 in Japan and North America in the year 2000 and later in 2001 in the European region. And this game would also be developed by From Software and published by Age Tech, that would have been responsible for games such as Eternal Ring that would have been quite popular and were even responsible for iconic games seen on the PlayStation 1 such as the Kingsfield series and even Shadow Tower games. And these developers would also be responsible for some of the best games of all time and even modern classics such as Elden Ring. So that will tell you the lineage of the history behind these games, as they are created by a company that really know how to develop solid and well put together games. This game, however, compared to the likes of Eternal Ring and even likes the Kingsfield series where they focus more on first person gameplay aesthetics, Evergrace would move away from that and focus on a third person perspective, but would still capitalise on many of the features seen in previous games, but would change up certain dynamics to suit its playstyle. So the character would start off where he has to acquire certain elements and even artifacts that are potentially held upon to have great power, but you have to spend your time in the game to upgrade your character's attributes and abilities while using and implementing RPG style systems to upgrade your character's weapons, strength and magical powers, which is pretty much the core of the gameplay with regards to these type of games. And with this game, it would allow you to play as two different types of characters, and they would have distinctly different storylines and even battle style techniques where they would utilize different move sets. So there was a lot of replayability in the game, as you could experience the story from multiple perspectives, which added to the appeal. So you could find areas in some cases that you wouldn't find with others, and you could get different ideas behind the story elements, which was pretty cool. Now, even in saying that, even though the game did have some really good features, the game did receive mixed reviews with regards to critics, and the game was criticised for some of its dated visuals and laggy gameplay elements, which sometimes the game does suffer from slowdown at different elements, and I've witnessed that myself from playing it. That can sometimes hamper the experience for many as such, but it's still a decent game in its own right, and it has a lot of familiar features that you would be familiar with if you played likes of other games by the same developer. You'll be very familiar with certain aesthetics, and it's a decent game. And funny enough, this game has acquired somewhat of a cult following over the last 20 years, and the game itself is being highly sought after from collectors, and as a result, to get physical copies of the game, the price is starting to go up gradually, ever so slightly. So if you are looking to get a copy of the game now, would probably be your best chance to gain access to it, because it is quite rare in most regards, and it won't be long before the price does go up and you will be expected to pay a pretty penny in order to gain access to it. But it's just another one of those unique games. While it's not perfect per se, and a lot of these systems would be revolutionised and refined even further with later iterations and different IPs, especially on more modern consoles, but it's an interesting take to see the influences behind them and what would later go on to inspire games such as Elden Ring. And majority of those ideas would have stemmed from games such as Evergrace and among other titles seen on the PS2 and even on the PS1. While it has its own unique story, the gameplay elements, even though they do slightly differ, the elements in many ways are very similar, and even with the game seen today, they are similar in many ways. So the thing is, it's a kind of the straightforward dynamic that if it is not broke, don't fix it kind of way, and if it worked 20 years ago, there's no reason why it can't work now. So with that in saying, if you want something that allows you to relive that nostalgia, and if you want to experience a piece of gaming history, then Evergrace is another one of those games that you can add to your collection and put it on your list of games to play for sure, as it will present a challenge. It is a difficult game to pick up and play. It's not an easy game to master. There's a lot of exploration, there's a lot of attributes to allow you to upgrade your character's attributes. It has some good storytelling with different types of modes and options available where you would have to complete various objectives and challenges in order to unlock additional features and so forth. So there's plenty of replay value in the game itself. So I would love to know your thoughts on Evergrace for the PlayStation 2, and what did you think of it back in the day? Are you a fan of these action styled adventure role playing games, or maybe not so much? But I would love to hear whatever stories you do have of this game, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content surrounding other games released on the PS2 that are similar to Evergrace, then be sure to check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And I will see you all in the next one.